You probably know what security breach is by now. If you don't, then I'm not sure why you're here. You also probably know about the game's less than ideal reception when it was first launched. I'll try to be brief here since you've almost certainly heard all of this before, but Security Breach has a lot of problems. From the loads of bugs that are still in the game, to the non existent story, to the endless fetch quests, the game was met with some pretty harsh and admittedly deserved criticism. Among all of the complaints, two of the main ones were that the gameplay was lackluster and that the game just wasn't scary, and those are both pretty valid. The gameplay is incredibly simple for most of the game. It essentially boils down to pressing the shift key while facing toward wherever you need to go next, or away from one of the animatronics, except for a few moments where the gameplay is temporarily replaced with something else that sometimes works better but usually doesn't. The poor gameplay mixed with the brightly lit areas and the less than intimidating enemies completely guts the game of any fear factor as well. For 99% of its playtime, the game is not scary at all. There is, however, one part of Security Breach that I think manages to fix both of these problems, and that is the endoskeleton section. For starters, while not the most horrifying thing in the world, the endo section is much scarier than the base game. While most of the areas in Security Breach are lit up like the sun itself tried to pay a visit, the endo section is dimly lit. This one change immediately makes the game 10 times more frightening to play. When you can't see as well, your brain immediately starts cranking out the uh glutamate. The endos themselves are also much more scarier than the regular animatronics. While the designs of the Glamlocks are sleek, bright, and colorful, the design of the endoskeletons is legitimately creepy. They have all sorts of exposed machinery and wires, glowing red eyes, and they stand and move in a way that just feels wrong. In fact, the way they stand mixes perfectly with their main mechanic of only moving when you're not looking at them. This means that whenever you turn to face an endo, it will stop in an incredibly unnerving position. While I was playing through this part of the game to get footage, I managed to get some really good examples of this. The other way I think that the Endo section manages to beat out the rest of Security Breach is in its gameplay. As I mentioned earlier, the Endo's main mechanic is that they only move when you are not looking at them. While this is not the most original idea, with the Joy of Creation having done the same thing with endoskeletons in 2017, 4 years before Security Breach came out, and Doctor Who having had the same idea with Weeping Angels a decade earlier, it still works, and it is one of the few instances where the game decides to shake things up and throw something new your way, and one of even fewer where the new gameplay works. This new mechanic forces the player to actually focus on the enemies, since the Endo's run speed is equal to that of the players, making them the only enemy in the game who you can't just outrun. The game also prevents you from just facing backwards the whole time, since the buttons you need to press in order to keep moving are in front of you, while the Endos almost always activate behind you, meaning that you will at some point have to turn your back on them. The game also manages to use just the right amount of endoskeletons and put them just far enough away from you that they are a problem, but not to the point that it becomes annoying to play. While this section is pretty easy when you've been through it before, on the first playthrough it can be pretty challenging since you aren't completely sure what is going on and what you need to do the way you are on subsequent playthroughs. All in all, the endoskeleton section managed to improve on two of the biggest problems that Security Breach had. I'm aware that Security Breach is over 3 years old at this point, and Secret of the Mimic is coming out in under 2 weeks as of writing the script, but, well, yeah, that's a good point. But I still felt like this section was worth talking about because it's just so different from the rest of the game and works so much better. On the off chance that you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. God, I feel so dirty saying that. I've just started this channel and it would help out a ton, and I plan to make more videos in the future. So if you're interested in more stuff like this, it's definitely worth sticking around. Anyways, see you later.